ya Zandile Dudula wakamboita dambudziko, wakambotemesa maZimbabweans vana mukoma wedu nanasisi vari pajoza apo nemusoro, achinzwa musoro achinzwa vachitagwa nezvezandile iko zvino kuna Jacinta, right? So Zimbabweans in South Africa, relief or just the beginning? Dudula leader steps down. The news that Zandile Dudula is stepping down, tomti Zandile Dudula ikatofana umuti Dudula, right? So the news yokuti Zandile Dudula is stepping down from Operation Dudula has sent shockwaves across Southern Africa. But nowhere is this story being watched more closely than in Zimbabwe, because for millions of Zimbabweans living in South Africa or with family there, this is not just political news. It is personal, it is emotional, and it raises one urgent question. Is this the beginning of relief or just the start of something bigger? A movement built on tension. So to understand why this moment matters, Zimbabwe, you have to understand what Operation Dudula represents. The group emerged in South Africa during a period of rising frustration over unemployment, crime, and economic pressure. Its message was simple and controversial: foreigners must go. The movement has been widely described as xenophobic and has been linked to actions targeting migrants, including shutting down businesses and blocking access to services. For Zimbabweans, this wasn't abstract. It translated into raids on shops, harassment in communities, fear, kuvunduka in everyday life, and in some cases, violence. Takagurutaiona iko zvinozvi kune chimwe chimovement ichi chevava vekunana Jacinta Ngovese chiri very very violent, aditi. So the rise of Zandile Dudula. When Zandile Dudula rose to leadership, she became one of the most recognizable faces of the movement. Under her leadership, Dudula expanded across provinces. Anti-immigrant rhetoric intensified. Protests targeted healthcare, schools, and businesses. Nona Zandile wakapusha chinjoi anti-immigration or xenophobia in South Africa to another level. Imi kutevera vanhu kuzvipatara zvasa zvakamboitika, so immoral stuff. Kurambidza vanhu kupinda muzvipatara, kurambidza vana vechikoro zvanana boys. She positioned herself as a voice for struggling South Africans, arguing that foreigners were benefiting from systems they had not contributed to. But to many Zimbabweans, she represented something else, a direct threat. The shock resignation. Now, in April 2026, that leadership is suddenly in question. Reports confirm that Dudula has moved to resign, citing internal divisions, organizational challenges, growing pressure within the movement. And this is not just a leadership change. It is a sign of instability inside one of South Africa's most controversial movements. And that is why people are paying attention. So, about the cracks within Dudula itself. The most important part of this story is not the resignation itself. It is why it happened. Internal divisions. That phrase matters because it suggests disagreements over direction, leadership struggles, possible loss of unity. Aren't these the same reasons akabvisa kamukampana kaivapo kwekutanga kainza nhlanhla kainza mfana aivapo. So, and for a movement built on strong, aggressive messaging, internal cracks can be dangerous. Some supporters are already questioning who takes over, whether the movement will split, whether its influence will weaken. Others see this as a turning point. So, Zimbabweans react, relief, but cautious. Among Zimbabweans, reactions are mixed. There's relief, yes, because for years, Operation Dudula has been associated with fear. But there's also caution because people understand one thing: movements don't disappear overnight. Even without Zandile Dudula, the ideology remains, the supporters remain, the frustrations driving the movement remain, and that means the situation is far from over, Zimbabwe. So let's talk about the bigger issue: why a movement like Dudula ichi exists. To truly understand what happens next, we have to look beyond Dudula, Zandile Dudula, because Operation Dudula did not appear out of nowhere. It was fueled by high unemployment, economic inequality, frustration among local communities. And supporters believe migrants are taking jobs and resources. Critics argue migrants are being scapegoated for deeper systematic problems. And until those underlying issues are addressed, the tension will remain. A history of xenophobia. So, South Africa, Pachai, has a long and complicated relationship with migration. Over the years, there have been multiple waves of xenophobic violence. Foreign nationals, especially from Zimbabwe, Mozambique, and Nigeria, have been often targeted. Operation Dudula did not create xenophobia, but it organized it. It gave it structure. It gave it visibility, and that made it more powerful. So, what this means for Zimbabweans? So, for Zimbabweans who are living in South Africa, this moment creates both hope and uncertainty. Possible relief. Leadership change may slow aggressive campaigns. Internal divisions may weaken coordination. Public scrutiny may increase. Ongoing risks. Grassroots supporters remain active. Vachiriko vanenge vakatotutira katsamwa vachiti maforera. Local tensions still exist. Economic pressures are unchanged. In simple terms, the threat may shift, but it has not disappeared. From a political angle, there is also a political dimension to this story. Operation Dudula has not just been a movement, it has attempted to position itself as a political force. Under Zandile Dudula, it even moved toward formal political participation. Now, with their stepping down, questions emerge. Can the movement survive politically? Will it fragment into smaller groups, or will a new leader emerge even stronger? These are not small questions because they will determine whether Dudula fades or evolves. A movement at a crossroads. Right now, Operation Dudula stands at a crossroads. It can, 1, collapse under internal pressure, 2, reorganize under new leadership, 3, split into competing factions. Each path carries different consequences for South Africa and for migrants. The human side of the story. Behind all the politics, there is a human reality. And Zimbabweans in South Africa are workers, parents, entrepreneurs, students. They are building lives, sending money home, trying to survive. And for many, the rise of movements like Dudula has made that survival harder. That is why this story matters, because it affects real lives, not just headlines. Is this the beginning of the end? Some analysts believe this could mark the beginning of the end of Dudula. Others disagree. They argue that leadership changes are normal. Movements can survive internal conflict, and sometimes crises make them stronger. The truth is, it's too early to tell, Zimbabwe. But so to put on a regional impact, this is not just a South African story. It is a Southern African story because migration connects the region. Economic struggles in one country affect another. Political tensions cross borders. And what happens in South Africa often has ripple effects across neighboring countries. So the Zimbabwe perspective, from Zimbabwe's perspective, this moment raises deeper questions. Why are so many citizens forced to migrate? What conditions push people to leave? And what can be done to create opportunities at home? Muno Zimbabwe. Because as long as migration continues, tensions like this will continue. So the reality on the ground, right now on the ground, nothing has dramatically changed. People are still going to work, running businesses, navigating daily life, but the mood is shifting. There is awareness, there is attention, and there is cautious hope. So, final word, Maurice Zimbabwe. The resignation of Zandile Dabula is a major moment, but it is not the end of the story. It is a chapter, a turning point, a moment that reveals both the fragility of movements built on division and the persistence of the issues that created them. For Zimbabweans in South Africa, the question remains, is this relief or just the beginning? The beginning of what, Zimbabwe? Maybe another bigger movement. Because sometimes when a leader falls, the real story is what rises next. So pamuzinda wevanhu kubva kuvanhu pano patiri mhuri yezimbabwe, you never miss a lot uri panapa, you never miss much uri panapa, because tichikupa maupdates ezvinhu zvese zvakakosha. So stay tuned, stay subscribed, stay blessed, and thank you for watching.